He looks at it every day. John is in love with Meg. Isn't that wonderful? But Joe was angry and upset. No, she said. It isn't wonderful. It's terrible news. Mr. Brooke will marry Meg. He will take her away from us. No, I am not happy. I am very unhappy. Chapter 7. A Telegram. Summer and autumn passed. It was November. The weather was cold and wet. One afternoon, the March sisters were sitting in their living room. Meg looked out of the window. She watched the rain. November is a terrible month, she said. It is cold and wet. Nothing ever happens. Our lives are very boring, and we have no money. Amy was painting a picture. One day I'll be a famous artist, she said. I'll travel to Italy. I'll paint beautiful pictures. Then I'll sell the pictures, and we will have lots of money. I'm going to write books, said Joe. I'll be rich and famous too. That is my dream. What is your dream, Beth? I'm very happy now, said Beth. I shall stay at home with Marmee and Father. Meg looked out of the window again. Suddenly she said, There's Laurie. He's coming to the front door. A few moments later, Laurie came into the room. He was holding a small envelope in his hand. He was worried and upset. What is it, Laurie? Said Joe. Is something wrong? Where is Mrs. March? Said Laurie. I have come from the post office. Laurie held up the envelope. This is a telegram for your mother. It's from Washington, he said. At that moment, Mrs. March came into the room. Laurie gave her the telegram. Mrs. March opened it and she read it quickly. Then she sat down in a chair. Her face was white. I must go to Washington, said Mrs. March. I will go on the train tomorrow morning. Joe, run to the post office. Send a telegram to the hospital. Send this reply. I will come immediately. Meg, Beth, Amy, come and help me. I have to pack my case. The three girls started to help their mother. Joe put on her hat and she went out. Laurie went home. Mrs. March went to her desk in the living room. She opened a drawer. There was some money in the drawer. She looked at the money. There was not very much. I have to buy a train ticket, she thought. Will the girls have enough money for food? A few minutes later, there was a knock on the front door. Meg opened the door. Old Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Brooke, Laurie's teacher, were standing outside. Laurie told us the bad news about your father, said Mr. Lawrence. I'm very sorry. Will your mother go to Washington? Yes, said Meg. She will go to Washington tomorrow morning. She must not go alone, said Mr. Lawrence. A friend must go with her. I'm an old man. I am not strong. I can't go with her. But John Brooke is a young man. He can go to Washington with your mother. Mr. Brooke looked at Meg, and he smiled. His face was very kind. Don't worry about your mother, he said. I'll take care of her. Meg was very pleased. Thank you very, very much, she said. Soon everything was ready for Mrs. March's journey. Evening came, but Joe had not returned. Mrs. March was worried. Where is Joe? She said. It's very late. At last Joe came home. She walked into the kitchen and she put some money on the table. This money is for your journey, Marmee, she said. Mrs. March looked at the money. Then she looked at Joe. She was very surprised. $25, she said. Joe, where did you get this money? Joe did not answer. She took off her hat. Everybody looked at her. Joe's hair was very short. Your hair! Your beautiful red hair, said Meg. Oh, Joe, what have you done? Many women want long red hair, said Joe. I went to the barber's shop. The barber cut my hair. Then I sold him my hair. He gave me $25 for it. I wanted to help Marmee and Father. Tears fell from Mrs. March's eyes. Joe, you are good and kind, she said. That night, Meg and Joe could not sleep. Joe was thinking about her hair. Meg was thinking about Mr. Brooke. Both girls were worrying about their father. The next morning, Mr. Lawrence's carriage came to the Marches' house. Mr. Brooke was sitting inside the carriage. Mrs. March kissed her daughters and she said goodbye. Then she got into the carriage. The sun shone on the sad faces of the March sisters. Goodbye, dear Marmee, they said. Goodbye. Chapter 8. Beth is ill. Mrs. March was in Washington. The four sisters worked very hard. They did the housework every day. They were worried about their father and mother. But the girls were very kind to each other, and they wrote to their mother every day. Soon a letter arrived from Mrs. March. The girls were happy. And soon Meg, Joe, and Amy forgot about the housework. Beth did not forget. She did her own work, and she did her sister's work too. One afternoon, Beth, Meg, and Joe were talking. Amy was not at home. Meg, said Beth, please will you visit the Hummel family? Marmee often visits them. Marmee is not here. We must visit the Hummels. I'm sorry, Beth. I'm very tired today, said Meg. Joe must go to the Hummels' house. I can't go, said Joe. I'm going to meet Lori. I can't visit the Hummels today. You must go yourself, Beth. I've visited the Hummels every day this week, said Beth. The baby is ill and I am very worried. Oh, said Meg. Amy will come home soon. Then she must visit the Hummels. An hour passed, but Amy did not come home. Meg and Joe went upstairs. Meg looked at a new dress. Joe wrote a story. They forgot about the Hummels. Beth waited. At last she put on her coat. She put some food in a basket and she went out. Meg and Joe did not see her leaving. Later Beth returned. She did not speak to anybody. She went upstairs to her mother's bedroom, and she shut the door. An hour later, Joe found Beth. Beth was sitting on her mother's bed. Her face was white, and she was crying. She was holding a bottle of medicine. What is wrong? Joe asked. Oh, Joe, the baby is dead, said Beth. Which baby? Asked Joe. The Hummel baby, replied Beth. I went to the Hummel's house this afternoon. The baby was very ill. Mrs. Hummel went to get the doctor. I held the baby in my arms, but it died. Oh, Beth, that is terrible, said Joe. What happened next? Mrs. Hummel came back with the doctor, said Beth. The doctor looked at the baby. He said, This baby had scarlet fever. Scarlet fever? Said Joe. Yes, Beth said. The doctor gave me this medicine. He said, Go home immediately. Drink some of this. And now I have a headache and I'm very hot. Suddenly, Joe was afraid. Has Beth got scarlet fever? She thought. It is a very dangerous illness. Don't worry, Beth, Joe said. I'll tell Meg. We will get Marmy's doctor. Meg was very worried. Beth went to the Hummel's house every day, she said to Joe. We must get Dr. Bangs immediately. Dr. Bangs came and he looked at Beth. Then the doctor spoke to Meg and Joe. Beth has scarlet fever, he said. Who will take care of her? We will, said Meg. Joe and I have had scarlet fever. We are safe. Has Amy had scarlet fever? Asked Dr. Bangs. Amy hasn't had the fever, replied Meg. She will not be safe here. She must stay with Father's aunt, Aunt March. Good, said Dr. Bangs. Take care of Beth. I'll come again tomorrow. The doctor left the house. Joe spoke to Meg. We must write to Marmee, she said. We must tell her about Beth. No, said Meg. Marmee is taking care of Father. She can't come home now. Marmee must stay in Washington. We must not tell her about Beth. Joe started to cry. Washington is many miles away, she said. We were wrong, Meg. We didn't visit the Hummels. Beth went there every day. And now she has scarlet fever. Oh, Meg, what are we going to do? Meg put her arms round Joe. Don't cry, Joe, she said. Beth has scarlet fever, but she will get better soon. Now we must take care of her. The next day, Amy went to Aunt March's house. Meg and Joe took care of Beth. Chapter 9. News from Washington. Beth was very ill. The days passed and she did not get better. Beth could not eat. She slept for many hours. Sometimes she was awake, but she could not remember things. Sometimes she called Joe, Meg. Sometimes she called Meg, Joe. Beth said her mother's name again and again. Joe and Meg were worried and afraid. One morning the two girls were talking. Let's send a telegram to Marmee, said Joe. Let's tell her about Beth now. Then she will come home. All right, said Meg. She sat down and she wrote the words for a telegram. I'll take this to the post office this afternoon, said Meg. But that afternoon, a letter arrived from Mrs. March. There was bad news in the letter. Mr. March was very ill again. Meg and Joe read the letter. They looked at each other. We must not send the telegram to Marmee, said Meg. Beth is ill, but Father is ill too. Marmee must stay with him. She can't come home now. A week later, it was the first day of December. The weather was very cold. The wind blew all day and snow fell. In the morning, Dr. Bangs visited the house. He looked at Beth for a long time. Then he spoke to Meg and Joe. Beth is very, very ill, he said. Your mother must to come home immediately. I will come back tonight. Meg, said Joe, we must send the telegram to Marmee. Joe put on her coat and hat and she ran outside. Laurie was walking towards the house. He was holding a letter in his hand. He was very happy and excited. I have good news, he said. This letter is from John Brooke. Your father is getting better now. But what's wrong, Joe? Where are you going? I'm going to send a telegram to Marmee, replied Joe. Dr. Bangs visited Beth. She is very, very ill. Joe started to cry. Laurie held Joe's hand. Dear Joe, he said, Grandfather and I will always help you. Please remember that. Yes, said Joe. "You are our good friends. Thank you very much." "I must tell you something," said Lori. "Last week, Grandfather and I were talking about Beth. We were very worried about her. We sent a telegram to your mother. We told her about Beth's illness. Today, I received this letter from John Brooke. Your mother will be here early tomorrow morning. Then everything will be all right." Joe was happy again. She stopped crying. "Lori," she said, "you're a wonderful friend. Thank you." Joe ran inside the house. She told Meg the good news. Meg was very happy too. The afternoon passed slowly. Beth lay in her bed. Her eyes were closed. She did not eat or speak. Sometimes she drank some water. Meg and Joe sat by her bed. The wind blew and the snow fell. At last, night came. Meg and Joe watched Beth. They waited for Mrs. March, and they waited for Dr. Bangs. Old Mr. Lawrence and Lori waited too. They sat downstairs in the living room. They sat by the fire. The hours passed. At 2 o'clock in the morning, Joe went to the window. She looked out at the garden. There was thick snow everywhere. "The world is sad and lonely tonight," she thought. Suddenly she heard a noise. She turned round. Meg was crying. "Beth has died," thought Joe. "Beth has died and Meg cannot tell me." She went to the bed and looked down at Beth. Beth was quiet. Her eyes were closed. Then the door opened and Dr. Bangs came into the room. "Beth is dead," Joe said quietly. Dr. Bangs looked at Beth. He held her hands. Then he smiled. "No," he said. "Beth isn't dead. She's sleeping. She's going to be all right. There is no more danger." Meg and Joe put their arms round each other and they cried. They were very, very happy. Soon it was morning. The sisters heard the sound of a carriage in the street. Then Lori called from the living room. "Girls! Girls! Your mother is here!" Mrs. March had come home. Chapter 10. The best Christmas present. Amy was unhappy at Aunt March's house. She wanted to see her family. Aunt March was an old lady. She did not like young girls. Sometimes she was angry with Amy. Every evening, Amy had to read to Aunt March, but she did not like Aunt March's books. They were not very interesting. One evening, Aunt March spoke to Amy. "I have had a letter from your mother," she said. "She has come home. She will take you home tomorrow." Amy was very happy. Soon the four sisters were together again, and every day Beth was stronger. One day, a letter came from Washington. It was from John Brooke. Mrs. March read the letter. "Girls, girls, I have wonderful news," she said. "Mr. Brooke is going to bring Father home." It was a week before Christmas. The March sisters were very busy and excited. They made Christmas presents, and they cooked delicious food for Christmas Day. In the evening, Jo spoke to her mother. "Marmee," she said, "I must tell you something. John Brooke loves Meg. In the summer, Meg lost a glove. John Brooke found it, and he put it in his pocket. Isn't that terrible, Marmee?" "Why is it terrible?" asked Mrs. March. "John Brooke will marry Meg," replied Jo. "He'll take her away from us." "Listen, Jo," said Mrs. March. John Brooke is a good young man. He was very kind and helpful in Washington. John Brooke must not marry Meg, Joe said. Meg must not marry a poor man. Money is not important, replied Mrs. March. John is good and kind. He loves Meg very much, but Meg is young. She is only 17. They must wait. Please don't be sad, Joe, Mrs. March said. One day you will leave this house too. You will meet a good man and you will marry him. No, Mother, cried Joe. I'll never marry anybody. I want to be a famous writer. At last it was Christmas Day. Everybody had some presents. Everybody was happy. In the afternoon, Laurie and old Mr. Lawrence came to the Marches' house. They brought presents. Everybody talked and everybody laughed. Then somebody knocked at the front door. Laurie went to the door. A moment later, he came back into the living room. He was very excited. Here is another Christmas present for the March family, he said. A tall man was standing behind Laurie. Everybody looked at the man. For a moment, they did not speak. Then the girls shouted together, "Father!" All the sisters ran to their father. They put their arms round him. Everybody was talking and crying. "This is the best Christmas present," said Amy. Then another man came into the room. It was John Brooke. Meg ran towards him. "I'm very happy to see you, John," she said. "Thank you. You have brought Father home to us." Later, everybody ate Christmas dinner. Then the Lawrences and John Brooke went home. The March family sat by the fire. Mr. March looked at the faces of his 4 happy daughters. "My dears," he said, "this year has been very long and difficult. You had to work very hard. I left home and you were girls. Now you have grown up. You are 4 fine women." Chapter 11. A Happy Ending. The Marches were together again. Every day Mr. March and Beth were stronger. Laurie and old Mr. Lawrence often visited the Marches, but John Brooke did not come with them. Meg was sad. She wanted to see John very much. "I don't understand," she thought. "Why doesn't John visit us?" One afternoon, Meg and Joe were talking. Joe saw an umbrella by the front door. "Whose umbrella is that?" she asked. "I've never seen it before." "It's John Brooke's umbrella," replied Meg. "He left it here on Christmas Day. He has forgotten it." "Meg," said Joe, "do you like John Brooke? Do you love him? Are you going to marry him?" "No, no," Meg said. "I'm too young for marriage. Please don't ask me these questions, Joe." "Then you don't love him," said Joe. "Oh, I don't know," said Meg. Joe looked out of the window. "Meg, John Brooke is outside now," she said. "He is coming to the front door. You don't love him, Meg. He must go away. Please tell him." Meg ran to the stairs. She wanted to hide in her bedroom, but it was too late. John Brooke came into the house. "Good afternoon," John said. "Do you have my umbrella? I left it here." He smiled. Then he said, "How is your father?" "He's very well, thank you," said Joe. "We'll bring him." Joe went upstairs and Meg started to follow, but John Brooke stopped her. "Please don't go, Meg," he said. "I must say something to you." "Oh," said Meg. "Let's talk in the living room." John and Meg went into the living room. Meg sat down and John Brooke sat beside her. He held her hand. Dearest Meg, he said, I love you. I am poor, but I can work hard. I can make a good home for you. Please, Meg, will you be my wife? At first, Meg did not speak. Then she said, I don't know, John. Please, Meg, said John Brooke. Will you marry me? Suddenly, the door opened and Aunt March came into the room. Meg and John were very surprised. Aunt March was surprised too. Good afternoon, Meg, she said. Where is your father? Then she looked at John Brooke. Who is this young man? Aunt March, this is John Brooke, Meg said. John is father's friend. John Brooke, said Aunt March. Why are you here, young man? What are you talking about? Aunt March, said Meg quietly. John Brooke wants to marry me. Aunt March looked angrily at John Brooke. Then she said, Young man, Mrs. March has spoken about you. You are poor. You have no money. Meg must marry a man with money. Meg was very angry. Aunt March, she said, John is poor, but he is a good man and I love him. John Brooke smiled and his eyes were bright. Dearest Meg, he said, do you love me? Will you marry me? Yes, I will, said Meg. Meg, said Aunt March, you are a very foolish girl. You will never get any money from me. Goodbye. She turned round and went quickly out of the room. Meg and John told the March family their good news. It's wonderful news, said Mr. and Mrs. March. Congratulations! Congratulations, said Amy and Beth together. Jo said nothing. She was not happy. Later, Laurie and Mr. Lawrence came to the house. They congratulated Meg and John, but Laurie looked at Jo's face. What's wrong, Jo? Asked Laurie. Aren't you happy? No, said Jo. Meg is my dear sister and my dear friend. Now John Brooke will take her away. Jo, said Laurie, you love Meg. She is your sister. But John loves her too. Meg will be happy with John. And Jo, I'll always be your friend. That's true, said Jo. Thank you, Laurie. Jo looked round the room. She looked at her family. Mr. and Mrs. March were talking together. Amy was sitting on the floor near Meg and John. Beth was talking to old Mr. Lawrence. Suddenly, Jo was not sad anymore. She turned to Laurie. You are right, Laurie, she said. One day Meg will marry John, but she will always be my sister. We will always love each other. That's right, Jo, said Laurie. Jo went over to Meg. She held Meg's hands and she kissed her face. Congratulations, dearest Meg, she said. I am very happy for you. And congratulations, John. You are our brother now. Welcome to our family.